We are recording, and you can hear that we are recording. We're all getting situated and coming into the room. And I will just join and welcome you to our seminar, Creative Aging, Enhancing the Lives of Older Adults. I am Dane Stauffer. I am a trainer with Lifetime Arts. I have been a teaching artist. I'm celebrating 50 years of teaching. I first got paid to teach when I was 17, and I've been in the creative aging realm for about 12 years, and I am a creative aging enthusiast and look forward to sharing all this great information to the rest of you because it's a really beautiful and powerful thing. And I'll pass the talking stick to my colleague, Antonia.
Thank you, Dane. And kudos to you for 50 years. That's really something.
Yes.
I also am a teaching artist. I'm a visual artist. I've been in the teaching artist world for 35 years or so, and in the creative aging field for about 12 years as well. I'm really thrilled to see so many people coming in today from all over the country. That's exciting. And supporting our seminar today is Lifetime Arts Marketing and Communications Manager, Jacqueline Dumont. Um, I think we'll continue, but before we officially start, let's go over some technical tips to support your participation in today's seminar. If you'd like to see closed captioning, press on the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and turn it to show. The captions should pop up, and then you should be able to click and drag the captions to move their position in the meeting window. If you don't see the CC button, you may need to tap the More icon first to see that the caption option. If you have any questions or comments during the session at any time, please feel free to type them in the chat using the chat function Everyone. You'll find the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, which you all already obviously know since you're entering in all that wonderful hello information. One of our staff members will see your chat if you're having any trouble and will do their best to read aloud your question in the Q&A portion of the session. Go ahead, Dane. Take it away.
Thank you. Lifetime Arts, a little bit about us. Lifetime Arts is a national nonprofit that is changing the way our society thinks about aging using the arts. Since 2008, we've been helping lead a movement called Creative Aging. At its heart, it's about more than just making art, it's about bringing older adults together to create, to connect, and to thrive. It is a proven approach that supports healthy aging through hands-on art, learning, and social engagement. We work with a number of partners across the country. We work with teaching artists, libraries, senior centers, museums, health organizations, all to build programs that combat isolation, that challenge stereotypes about aging, and to celebrate the creative potential that lasts a lifetime. And because creativity isn't just a nice little thing to have, it is essential to well-being. We are making sure that these practices are part of public health, cultural policy, and aging services nationwide. In short, we are bridging vision and action to make creative aging part of everyday life in every community. Our goals together today are to understand the foundations of the creative aging field and its value for older adults, for organizations and communities, especially in this moment. We're going to explore how creative aging supports health and well-being and social connection. These aren't just vague claims. And we want to identify opportunities to engage and to better serve older adults across all sectors and communities through the arts. If any of you have attended a Lifetime Arts training or a webinar in the past, some of this may be familiar to you. It may be something you've heard before, but we think this will be a great refresher. Some of this may also be brand new to you, where we continue to do research on the impact that this work has. In that light, you will all receive a recording after the session, And it may be that this webinar will help you bring in some new people to this work. You might be able to share it with potential partners to help educate them about the value of it. We're going to take a little time, just as an introduction to creative aging. We're going to look at this short film by E.A. Michelson, Philanthropy, that introduces the life-changing positive impact that art making and social engagement has in older adults. This is this film pertains to museums, but we want to stress that these programs can occur in any community site. It could be short, it could be long. There are variations within what's being presented here. But let's take a look at this just to see this introduction to creative aging.
I see it around me. I see a lot of loneliness, especially as they get older and more physically challenged. It can be kind of bleak. And I can see that could be my future if I'm not careful.
It's taught by an artist, it's taught at the museum, it's geared for people over 55. I was really excited and I called and left a message right away and I said, "Can we get in?"
And all of a sudden, I was with a group of people who were eager to hear from me. I was eager to hear from them.
Get the companionship, which is so important. You know, I feel better. Little aches and pains that I came here with, I don't have them while I'm here.
It has amazingly opened up my world. I have more friends now than I've ever had since probably elementary school.
I think everybody's surprised at what they can do themselves. I feel so good about myself after I've done something, and I think most people here do the same thing.
It does help your confidence and self-esteem, and I think that's important with seniors.
We're busy and we're creating, and it's a nice vibe. I can't even say how wonderful it is and what type of experience it has been for me.
I'm the least isolated I've been in years. This class is a good part of that.
Isn't that fantastic? That's just so moving. So let's dig a little deeper into what it means to be aging into older adulthood at this moment in time. Worldwide, the population is aging due to a few things: falling fertility rates, that means people are having fewer children, and rising longevity. Put simply, people are generally living longer, healthier lives. In fact, the US Census Bureau projects that the size of the older population in the United States is expected to grow by almost 50% from 2016 to 2030. The US Census Bureau projects that more than 20% of the population will be over the age of 65 by the year 2030. That's an increase of almost 50% from 2016. By 2034, adults age 65 and older are projected to outnumber those under 18 for the first time in US history. That's only 9 years away. And at the same time, it's very important that we're all aware of longevity inequality. Although we're all living longer lives in general, it's not to the same rate. How long you live depends on many factors, such as income, race, even your zip code where you live. It's also really important, and we want to remember that older adults are incredibly diverse and are getting more so. Those of us who may identify as BIPOC or LGBTQIA plus make up a significant and rapidly growing portion of older adult population in the US. By 2050, BIPOC older adults will represent nearly half, 42% of the older adult population, up from 20% in 2010. And currently, nearly 14% of adults aged 65 and older speak a language other than English at home. LGBTQIA plus older adults and older adults of color face significant disparities in health and healthcare access, economic security, housing, employment, and more. We at Lifetime Arts feel it is vital for our creative aging work to address these inequalities. We want to ensure that arts programming and engagement is truly accessible for the full span of diverse older adults and is also responsive to their needs. So, um, and that's something we'll talk about in a little bit, being responsive to others' needs. Another component to creative aging, as you may know, social isolation has a significant impact on life expectancy. You might be aware of the Surgeon General's recent report, Loneliness Across Age Groups. In the United States, nearly 25% of older adults are socially isolated in ways that can take years off their life. It proves that social isolation is as dangerous to health as smoking. Current research also suggests that loneliness is experienced more among older adults who identify as BIPOC, LGBTQIA, plus are immigrants, those who live in rural or remote areas who are underserved in any way. Isolation is also a particular danger for folks with dementia and their care partners. So, one of our stated goals of creative aging programs is to alleviate some of that isolation and thereby alleviating the potential impact that isolation has on older adults. Another major impact on our view of aging and our experience of it is what we would call ageism. The World Health Organization's 2021 report on ageism, this is the most recent, describes it as the stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination directed toward people on the basis of their age. It can be institutional, interpersonal, or self-directed. Ageism infuses our media, it becomes internalized, it reinforces the stigma around aging. It's also proven to affect our health in all sorts of ways. Dr. Becca Levy, in her book Breaking the Age Code, demonstrates that older adults who were exposed to negative stereotypes about aging when they were younger have twice as high a risk of having a cardiovascular event. Negative age beliefs also had more negative effects on memory. And conversely, on the other hand, older adults who have been exposed to positive age stereotypes weekly for a month scored better on tests of gait, strength, and balance, better than the other control groups did, and they were also more likely to recover fully from severe disability. So, actually, it's vital to all of our health that we stop imposing negative stereotypes upon aging. We are all aging, every one of us, and we are making most views of aging outdated. We're just proving them wrong. So when we shift our view of aging from decline to growth, from isolation to contribution, we unlock the full potential of older adults and all of us. And we are revealing ourselves as lifelong learners, as creative people, as creators, and vital members of our communities. Isn't that right, Antonia?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, think about an art form that you last engaged with, such as listening to music or watching a performance, making a drawing or reading a novel. How did that make you feel? You can put into the chat, how does arts engagement really make you feel physically, emotionally, or mentally? Any arts engagement that you may have had recently or that you recall? Let's see. We have connected, grounded, attuned, fulfilled, expansive, vital, much more relaxed and connected, inspired, in touch. These are the things that arts can do for us when we're involved in the arts. Confident and relaxed, uplifted and giddy. Wow. I love that. Unburdened. It's true. We feel connected with humanity and joyful when we're engaged in the arts. Wonderful. While folks continue to answer, I'm going to share a definition of creative aging. Creative aging is the practice of intentional artistic and creative engagement throughout our lives to support our health, connection, and purpose as we age. Creative aging programs are opportunities to explore different art forms, to build skills over time, to connect meaningfully with others, and to interrupt society's and our own ageist views by showing that growth and creativity are possible at any age. Creative aging programming can take many forms, including, but not limited to, visual arts classes, theater workshops, storytelling sessions, music making, and intergenerational arts projects. And they may be dementia inclusive programs for people living with memory loss, or arts education programs taking place in community settings. Creative aging is more than just a fulfilling pastime. It's a crucial element of a healthy, vibrant life. Just like in your chat responses, you might already have a sense that the arts really are good for us. A body of research shows that creative aging is vital to older adults' overall well-being, offering measurable mental, physical, and social benefits. A study led by the wonderful gentleman pictured here, Dr. Gene Cohen, in partnership with the National Endowment for the Arts in 2006, revealed that when compared to a control group, older adults who participated in creative aging programs had reduced depression and anxiety. They used less medication and had fewer doctor's visits. They also became generally more active and engaged in their lives. They even had fewer falls. Since then, further studies, all available via the website in the chat, shows that arts engagement has clear benefits for the mental, physical, and cognitive health of older adults. Older adults were 20% less likely to be depressed if engaged in creative activities monthly. Older adults who engage in cultural activities every few months or more had a reduced risk of becoming frail and a slower progression of frailty over time. It improved cognitive functions, and greater participation in social, cultural, and community activities is linked to fewer hospitalizations and nursing home stays. These findings highlight the powerful impact of arts programs as a positive intervention that can actually reduce risk factors that often lead to the need for long-term care. And that's why we say, while creative aging programs aren't technically arts therapy, they offer real therapeutic benefits. Creative aging is a practice, and there are many different program approaches. We'll share some of those with you next. What research consistently shows, though, is that regular participation matters. Monthly engagement is the minimum, but weekly is ideal. In fact, research suggests creative aging should be thought of as a health behavior, just like exercise. And we know that there are benefits to both receptive experiences, like attending a play or a concert, and participatory ones, like making art or playing music. But participatory engagement offers unique advantages, and the more actively people are involved, the greater those benefits become. Dane, would you like to continue? You're muted.
Yeah, yep. Sorry about that. It was such a smooth transition, too. Shoot. The benefits, as you were talking about, the benefits of these creative aging programs. I just want to follow up that they exist across many approaches, and you hinted at arts therapy. There are programs that are dementia inclusive. These are designed specifically for individuals experiencing memory loss, and they often include the care partners of those who are getting the care. Um, the individuals with dementia continue to access their imaginations and their creativity in the processes of these programs. And a lot of times, like I said, the caretakers are also involved, so it helps to enhance their relationship. These programs have been proven to improve mood, to increase social connection, and foster self-expression. There's also something that comes up a lot, the intergenerational programs. This brings together younger and older participants to learn and create artwork together. It includes a lot of social bonding through the art making and through the learning experiences, and it interrupts a lot of ageist stereotypes. What we focus on at Lifetime Arts is specifically would be arts education programs for older adults. They're specifically these arts education approach for older adults. These are sequential learning programs. They take place over time, usually over the course of several weeks. And they take place in a variety of community-based settings, and older adults will self-select and they'll choose to participate in classes that are based on their own interests. Part of this approach also includes a planned culminating event at the end of the program. It could be a public or a private event. It may be a show, a performance, or a gallery show, or a reading, or a poetry slam, or exhibitions that both celebrate the work that's created over the weeks of the classes. It's also a way to share with the other community members in a way that helps to, among other things, break down those stereotypes of ageism that we talked about. This picture here is from a culminating event of a creative aging photography class that took place in rural Wyoming. And this next slide, we've got a number of different community settings where these programs can take place. They could take place in senior living communities, senior serving organizations, senior centers, arts organizations like theaters, museums, libraries, veterans homes, parks and recs, and others. And if you think of others, you might pop those into the chat as well.
However, across all the approaches and settings, it is really vital that creative aging work is adaptable to each site and the community to best serve their own constituents. Classes should be open to all older adults in the community, and they should take place in accessible spaces and use universal design principles to ensure that programs can engage older adults across their range of abilities. Older adults want choice in what they engage with or what they want to learn and how they want to learn it. Older, all creative aging programs need to be responsive, with staff and teaching artists seeing themselves in partnership with their students and working to meet their students' goals for learning as much as their own. Programs should honor older adults' experiences, cultural backgrounds, and engage their voice and their leadership. Research shows that there's another important ingredient for getting those health benefits from creative aging programs, and that is social connection and community building between participants. And we're not just talking about chatting over snacks after class, though that can be great too. We mean creating opportunities within the art making process itself for people to connect, to build relationships, and form new friendships. Teaching artists and facilitators can intentionally weave these moments into the experience. And that might look like opening and closing rituals where everyone shares and gets to know each other. They could create artwork together in pairs or in teams. They can share artistic resources and discuss them in pairs or in small groups, or other activities that encourage collaboration and connection. Some art forms also naturally create social connection. Dancing and drumming, for example, often bring people together through shared movement and rhythm. Building an ensemble in a theater or music class is another great example of collaborative art making and community building. Just to put it all together, at Lifetime Arts, we see these three elements, social connection, creativity, and community engagement, as the pillars of creative aging across approaches. You want to tell?
That's right. Yes, and I'm not muted, so that's good. That's good news. And the other good news is that creative aging as a movement is progressing. We are watching it progress at a local level with direct work happening in communities. And there are also efforts at the grass tops level to build understanding of this approach with institutions, with health systems, with state level agencies, and within master and multi-sector plans on aging. Um, and but none of us can do this work alone. In our experience, the most successful programs on creative aging usually depend on very strong organizational partnerships. Often these partners are cross-sector, meaning that there are opportunities for collaboration across different groups or industries, such as those shown in this slide right here. Strong partnerships can do a lot of things for this work. They can provide accessible space for programs, assist with marketing and promotion, help recruit students to engagements. They can support students' access to the program, such as by providing transportation. They might host a culminating event. They might help diversify funding sources and help to continue the program if it's successful, and more. Um, so in this day and age, the stronger the partnerships that you build at the beginning, the more likely the program will become sustainable. A possible first step may be to ask what's happening right now in your work, in your local community, in your state that feels like a natural entry point for getting creative aging started or for expanding access, or maybe even for just having this conversation about it. In fact, Lifetime Arts has been developing a policy brief over this past year, connecting creative aging to three trending areas in healthy aging: brain health, social connectedness, and livable communities. As these themes are getting more attention across aging and health sectors, they can help to strengthen advocacy, partnerships, and funding. And we just were introduced to this brief a few weeks ago. It's very powerful and there's a lot of information. We hope that this brief can help you link your work to these priorities. An action plan framework and a partner and funder education guide are also going to be released this year. All of these are available for free on our Lifetime Arts website. Here at Lifetime Arts, we think about both big ideas and small ideas. They all pertain. Practical steps when it comes to supporting creative aging in your community. No matter what your role may be, and we saw plenty of them in the chat, there's always something that you can do to make arts engagement more accessible, inclusive, and meaningful for older adults. One really helpful step is the very first thing listed here, mapping the community. Older adults are often already creating, they're often already participating in arts activities. So it's good to find out what's already happening in your community. Who's doing this work already? Who might be a good partner? Another step is to talk directly with older adults about what they want. This might mean sending out a survey or having informal conversations, or maybe creating a little focus group, a small focus group, or an advisory committee. And then we want to look at the barriers, possible barriers to participation. Could your organization help with transportation to classes or events? Can you make information easier to find or spaces more welcoming and accessible? And don't underestimate the power of simply sharing what you know. Talking about creative aging and sharing your excitement can help build momentum and bring more people into this work. These are some first steps that we can think of. If you can think of any other, please drop those into the chat. Any other first steps? Mapping your community, surveying possible participants, How can we reduce barriers? Any other ideas you have, pop them into the chat. And we're going to segue organically into Q&A. And we have a nice, healthy chunk of time to facilitate a conversation. So this is really great. We're going to open up the floor and just have a little Q&A. I think we can go into the gallery mode so we can see everybody and maybe close out the slides so we can see each other once.
We have a first question here that I noticed. I understand the importance of mapping our community. I'm interested in the how of doing that. How can an artist like me determine what's happening in my community right now? And of course, we can throw out some answers, but there may be people who are attending who have some suggestions to answer that.
Is it possible, Jacqueline, to put us into the gallery view so we see everybody? I'm only seeing me and Antonia, and just for the Q&A. Um,
Yes. Yeah, sorry, Dane.
and sorry to put
Let
you
me
on the
get that.
spot. We'll continue as you're doing that, I know.
I
I
think that's a
see
really good.
everybody. Thank you, Jacqueline. I see everybody.
Oh, good. Oh, there we are. Here we are. Um,
For your patience,
there
everybody.
are, so Maureen, we have some templates of questionnaires and surveys that we will put into I hope I'm not stating this incorrectly, but I think we'll be sharing out a resource packet after this training. Is that right? Including the recording of this meeting. And I think we have a sample template of a community mapping survey that you can use to specifically survey those points that we talked about in this slide.
I think Antonia and Dane, though, if you two could also answer just from a teaching artist perspective, like what kind of, personal community mapping do you do when looking for maybe, organizations to work with as a teaching artist, or what might be best for the older adults in your community? Do you want to just speak from your experience?
Well, I'll speak. I'm very, very, very fortunate in that I've been approached by organizations to work for them. So I haven't really done a lot of mapping personally, but within those organizations, we have facilitated groups to talk to of like, what do you want to learn? I've thrown out some ideas of classes that I teach, improvisation, storytelling, the ones I teach a lot, and then, well, would there be any interest in meeting weekly to read through a play and talk about it? And just doing surveying the potential participants right then and there about what are you interested in, and then talking to the administrators about facilitating that. And if I'm the person to do it, and if not, here's some other people I know who might do that.
I think one of the approaches, if you don't already have connections with older adult serving organizations, you can visit, for example, a community center that might have a senior program, a library that might be interested in offering a session of 8 weeks or so, but I have found that once I'm already in some kind of a community organization, other organizations start to approach me, which is very similar to what Dane says. And the most important thing has always been to survey the constituents of whatever organization and find out what it is that they really would like to learn. Is it dancing? Is it a chorus? Is it theater, poetry, painting, whatever? But that was a really good question.
And I'll also share that we talked about the culminating event, and there is something about there have been a number of situations where I've been in what was the beginning of a program, and there was some concern about, well, there's only 3 people, there's only 4 people. Should we keep going? And I always say yes. And whatever the culmination looks like, we just did a culmination with 3 people at one of my organizations. But in attendance at the culmination were 3 other people from other organizations who were curious about the work, who were moved by what we did enough to talk about, can we talk about the fall? So, in a sense, being willing to really meet the people where they're at, meet the experience where it's at, keep it going and keep spreading the word because a lot of people are just learning about this. And in some ways, it's fulfilling what I've been told. It becomes a self-perpetuating thing because people are interested in it and they want to do it again. Or I couldn't do it this spring, but I want to do it next fall. And so my job is to say yes and show up.
And hi, good afternoon,
Yes,
everyone.
Trevon.
Trayvon
Yes,
Edwards,
Trayvon.
Benjamin Rose, Cleveland, Ohio. To also, I guess, double down on that point, as I shared with Benjamin Rose, I have the unique honor of overseeing the Senior Center in Old Brooklyn, which is on the west side of Cleveland. And I can't tell you enough. I've been pulled even during this short hour, but to the point of in this space, working hands-on with older adults, to the points made of being connected in the community, it's Broadway School of Music and Arts that invited, and that's a partnership. And that's what this community work looks like, bridging that divide for our most vulnerable population. And I just so happen to be a lover of the arts, so it only complements the work. But to again double down on the point that it takes a community and it takes us coming together to share this said idea. How do we build upon that, rather it be well across the United States or right here in Old Brooklyn? So thank you all so much for all the things that were shared today.
That's wonderful, Trayvon. Thank you for sharing that. Maureen, did you have a follow-up question?
I guess with my question about how to do the mapping in our community, um, or basically finding out what's going on in our community right now with anything like creative aging. We don't have a big city. It's Helena, Montana, 35,000 people. So there aren't, like infinite agencies and organizations for me to like go visit and talk to. But I'm connected to the Montana Arts Council and the State Library now with the Creative Aging program. I've taught some classes through them. But I don't see um, sort of like a gathering of community artists and organizations in any way, shape, or form going forward. I don't see it happening. And my question is, do I, as a creative aging teaching artist, like put something in my newsletter, my email newsletter? Do I go call every one of the organizations and say, "Can I come and talk to you?" Or do I go to all the senior centers and et cetera and ask them what they're doing that has anything to do with creativity and artistry and performance? I mean, like, how do I do that? Should I do it? Should I go back to the two organizations I'm already working with and say, "Hey, you guys, let's find out if there's other efforts in our community. Like, we don't want to duplicate efforts. So how do we find out what's really going on here now?"
Well, there's a lot of questions in that, Maureen, and
I know.
they're great questions and they're very pertinent. And it's exactly what we're seeing going on. And so, it is a nascent movement. So I don't want to be glib and just say, well, yes, you should do all of that.
Yeah,
Do,
that's a
of
full-time job.
course, do what's doable. Do what's the most, evident pathway to begin with. I'll
Mhm.
share that we're in the midst of, and tomorrow we're culminating a 3-day training with Montana Arts Council, and we're meeting about with a handful of people from across the state. So there are efforts. So I mean, you could reach out to Montana Arts Council and just see what resources are being developed as in real time in these weeks to come. But I would start with who's nearby. Start
Mhm.
small, make it doable. And really, if you contact one or two organizations near you and can get some kind of a ball rolling, even if, and we talk about 8-week courses, we have sort of templates that we follow, and then we adjust accordingly. So I aim for 8 weeks plus the ninth week is the culmination. But based on the organizations I'm with and what their budget is and who they have, I've adapted accordingly. I've done a one day master class. I've done a weekend workshop. Whatever gets me in the door and gets the ball rolling. And then if you have something rolling, you can start to promote that thing rolling and it's no longer theoretical.
Yeah.
I hope
I'd
that
like to
helped.
check on that a little bit and just say, you
Hmm.
might offer a free demo class somewhere and to get people interested, you know.
Hmm. I've done that.
Okay. Yeah, one of the classes I'm teaching is in Drummond, Montana, which has a population of 300. Um, yeah, and it's on Saturdays. Um, and every single person in the class, 6 weeks because we couldn't afford with the supply budget to make it 8 weeks because of my travel time. So it's 6 weeks, six students.
Hmm.
That was as many as we could get to commit to 6 weeks. It's been
Hmm.
fantastic, and we're almost done, and we will have an exhibit, and I think it's gonna keep going in this teeny little town.
Yes. And that is fantastic. And I always say, to meet things where they're at, it's like six people in a tiny town is not nothing, as you
Mhm.
know. And I've had storytelling classes with 25, 30 people where we had to split it in two. And then I've had storytelling classes with three people that should we keep going? And I always say yes.
Mhm.
Yes, we should keep going because these three people are being served and they'll tell other people. And when we do the culmination, other people are going to, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. I hope that helps, Maureen. Those are great questions. Anyone else? I'm going to look at the chat too.
I think
Yeah, if there's
Gretchen
any.
has a hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as one of the places potentially to connect, and that can be a locale for things. And don't forget YMCA's, YWCA's
Mhm.
as community gathering places. I put in the chat some information about Wider Horizons Virtual Villages and what they're doing. That's another organization. They're nationwide. And we have a bunch of virtual villages here in Seattle. And actually, my wife just got on and just became a board member of Wider Horizons, so I've got a little plug in over there. But she did some creative aging workshops using their curriculum at our local YMCA, and that ended up opening up the opportunity to go to other Ys, so because there are multiple ones that are in the community here. So sometimes it's not the obvious place to connect, if you're thinking arts, but it's an excellent place to connect if you're thinking community. Um, and
Yes.
so just sort of thinking a little bit outside the box of what those gathering places are, where they might be, who they might,
Hmm.
who they might attract, and
Hmm.
yeah, and one of the things that's true about the Ys is they have a lot of programs for seniors and already in place. So if these are folks who are interested in being physically healthy, then the idea that they would be wanting to connect, do other kinds of activity seems like a pretty good logical extension. Uh, so
Can I just, hi
my
everybody,
two
I'm Julie
cents.
from Lifetime Arts. Just Gretchen, I just want to say thank you so much for bringing that up. And I think that's really great strategic thinking of what are these larger networks, and libraries are networks, right? YMCAs are networks. And this idea of once you do, and senior serving, AAAs are networks. And so once a program might happen in one, the point of then going to the, it's been proven in a setting similar to yours, library, a senior center. And so now it can come to yours, right? And our hope too is with some of this information, especially around the health impacts, can translate these benefits to wider networks, to
Hmm.
folks that are looking to support older adult health, to places like WISE, to senior serving communities. So it's just that's a great idea, Gretchen. I just wanted to support that.
Another one here, Julie, that just came in from Sally. Is there a significant benefit to doing a creative aging or expressive arts approach in this programming rather than a strictly art teaching approach? I'll try to tackle it. I mean, what I've learned in my 12 years of creative aging specifically is that I would say for me and my curriculum with this sector, 60% of it is about social engagement. 40% is learning whatever I'm teaching. It's very significant for me to adapt my curriculum to include times where it's one-on-one and they're listening to each other, and then it's small groups, and it's very focused on different ways to introduce people to each other and share the art making. We're fortunate in theater that social engagement is baked into a group art. But I would say that the benefit of it is the engagement, and that is the difference between teaching a class that's geared towards social engagement and a class that's strictly art teaching, which a lot of time in theater seems to end up going towards excellence and competition and who's in, who's out, etc. So that's my answer to that question, Sally.
Yeah, I could
Anything?
only second that. Absolutely. In the visual arts, which is not necessarily, it's more with a creative artist making their work in isolation. In an adult creative aging class, older adult creative aging class, certainly we're building skills and learning techniques, but the social engagement portions in which real conversations that are directly connected to the art enables participants to form significant bonds with each other. And they actually understand more about the art as they discuss it or as they discuss their process than you would in a strictly arts education. I'm thinking college level right now because I've taught those classes, but also K to 12 teaching artist classes don't really include that level of social engagement, which is so necessary with older adults.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. I see this comment from Trayvon: with arts at risk on a larger scale, we must rally and work together to share information, participants, and resources. Absolutely. Almeida is reinforcing that, yes. I mean, that's what we're doing right here. And I totally agree with you all that I believe and am witnessing that partnerships are what will get us through. That a lot of the organizations that were thriving are now finding it difficult to be in a building all by themselves. And so I think partnership, adaptability, and social engagement are powerful, not just coping mechanisms, but are building powerful alliances that will not only get us through this, but help to define the world we're living into. And that is my statement. Almeida, 60 years on 5 continents with significant elder input. I'm going to celebrate that. That is really
Oh,
fantastic.
thank
Congratulations.
you. And that's why I'm here. Hey, Wanda, it's good to see you again. I was hoping you would be here. And Gretchen, and there's a couple of other people that we've been together on these. So thank you. And it's so good to see the faces of folks that I know digitally.
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you, Almeida.
Oh, you're
Yes, a
welcome.
quick question coming in about intergenerational programs and are there any examples of creative aging in K through 12 schools beyond Grandparents' Day programs,
Yep.
etc.? This is a great question. It's a big whole topic, and we are Lifetime Arts is developing intergenerational programming trainings, hopefully as soon as 2027. I don't want to necessarily get into a lot of it because it's a big topic that is hard to wrap up in 1 or 2 minutes. But I've been in a few programs that were intergenerational, and we learned a lot. And I think We are learning a lot from cultures that have intergenerational connection built into their rituals, and there's a lot for us to learn. So hopefully we'll have more in that regard uh, in the next year. So we're going to wrap up. We know that there are still questions, and we welcome those, but we are going to wrap up because we want to honor the time that you're taking. So just up here, there's some QR codes if you are interested in learning more about creative aging. We do offer more in-depth training. We've got training that supports teaching artists, that supports program managers and leadership staff on how to plan, implement, and sustain creative aging programs. The next round starts in June, just in a few weeks. Our next seminar in this series is also in June, in this series that we're doing. So join us on June 10th. We'll be introducing Lifetime Art's upcoming partner and funder education guidebook and exploring how to use the guidebook to align your work with partner priorities, how to strengthen your message, how to build trust across sectors. You can scan these QR codes with your phone, or you can click on the links that are in the chat right now to learn more about these programs and to register. I'm going to pass this to Antonia for closing, but I see Almeida has a hand raised. Do we have time for a quick comment?
I think you answered it. I'm one of 5% of Americans who don't own or use a cell phone. So when somebody says scan, I don't know what to do. I'm also a Luddite. So
Okay.
is there
Well,
is there a way that I can get all the links
They're
in
right
an
there in the
email
the
chat.
or
links are
something?
in the
They're in the
chat.
chat.
So if you click on the chat, all the links are in the
Yeah, I
chat.
know, but I can only do one link at a time and then get off and put it in a file.
We'll follow
That's
up, Almeida. Everybody will
oh,
get an email after this with the
thank you,
recording and
Julie.
resource links. All
You're
good. We're here for
aware.
you.
You're
Thank you.
aware. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we after this seminar is finished, we'd love you to fill out a survey, which I believe you're going to be given. But just to have a quick closing reflection, throw into the chat one word to describe what excites you about creative aging, and we'll call out some of those words. Just one word about what excites you about creative aging. Joy, purpose, bonding, connection,
Right.
vitality, impact,
Wisdom, belonging. That's a good one.
freedom, community, purpose, resistance. Oh, resistance. Yay. Laughter.
Newness. This is great. This is beautiful. Well, it's been a wonderful hour, everybody. Thank you so much. And as Julie said, we will be emailing all these resources out to you, the links, the recording of this session, and so forth. And it's been wonderful to meet you all. And thank you.